Why does white always move first in chess? It feels so natural that we rarely question it. But what if I told you that this single rule was not always fixed, was once deeply debated, and actually shaped how modern chess is played today? For centuries, chess had no agreement on who should move first. In some places, black began. In others, the first move was decided by chance. So why did white win this privilege? To understand the answer, we need to travel back through history, through ancient strategy, human psychology, and the birth of competitive chess itself. Chess is often described as a perfect balance between two equal armies. Same pieces, same board, same rules, yet one side always begins. This is the story of how that rule came to be and why it still matters today. Historical origins. In the earliest forms of chess, such as Chaturanga in ancient India and Shatranj in Persia, the concept of white and black did not even exist as we know it today. Boards were uncolored. Pieces were symbolic, not standardized. And most importantly, who moved first varied by region. Some manuscripts describe the darker pieces beginning the game. Others allowed the player of higher status to move first. In many cases, players simply agreed before the match began. There was no universal rule. Chess at this stage was not a sport. It was a philosophical and strategic exercise, often tied to military thinking. The problem of fairness. As chess spread into Europe during the Middle Ages, it began to change. The game became faster, more aggressive, more competitive, and players noticed something important. The player who moved first had a slight advantage. Not a winning advantage, but a measurable one. Early European chess communities struggled with this imbalance. If one player always moved first, was the game truly fair? Some tournaments experimented with alternating first moves. Others introduced handicaps. But none of these solutions lasted. Chess needed standardization. The modern rule is born. In the 18th and 19th centuries, chess evolved into a formal competitive game. Printed rulebooks emerged. Clubs formed. International matches became common. This is where the idea of white moving first finally became dominant. Why white? Because white was visually clearer. On printed boards, lighter squares and pieces were easier to follow. Spectators could track games more easily. Publishers preferred consistency. And so, by convention, not divine logic, white was chosen. Once leading chess authorities adopted it, the rule became permanent. In 1886, during the first official World Chess Championship, white moved first. From that moment on, the rule was no longer optional. The psychological effect. But the story doesn't end with history. White moving first changed how humans think about chess. White is associated with initiative, control, the right to define the opening. Black, in contrast, is framed as reactive but resilient. This psychological framing shaped opening theory, player identity, and even playing styles. Some players built careers mastering the advantage of the first move. Others became legendary defenders, turning black into a weapon. What began as a practical decision became a mental framework for the entire game. Does white really have an advantage? Modern statistics confirm it. At the highest levels of play, white scores slightly higher than black, about 54 to 56%. Not because white is stronger, but because moving first matters. And yet, chess remains beautifully balanced. Because advantage does not mean victory. It means responsibility. So the next time you play chess, remember this. White does not move first because it is better. White moves first because history, human perception, and the evolution of competition demanded a starting point. And from that single move, an infinite game begins. If white truly has an advantage by moving first, why hasn't chess been solved yet? Why doesn't white simply win every game? The answer lies in the nature of chess itself. Chess is not about having the first move. It is about how you use it. At the highest level, the advantage of white is incredibly small, often measured in fractions of a pawn. One inaccurate move, one moment of impatience, and that advantage disappears instantly. In many cases, black can equalize within just a few moves, turning the game into a balanced struggle. This is why modern chess introduced formats like rapid, blitz, and bullet. In faster time controls, the value of moving first is often overshadowed by time pressure, nerves, and decision-making speed. The psychological advantage shifts constantly between players. And then there is another solution that chess quietly adopted. In professional matches, players alternate colors. Over a match or tournament, both players get the same number of games with white and black. The first move advantage is balanced out not within a single game, but across many games. Fairness is preserved statistically, not emotionally. Interestingly, some chess variants tried to eliminate the advantage entirely. In Chess 960 or Fischer random chess, the starting position is randomized. Opening preparation disappears, and the first move becomes less about memorized theory and more about pure understanding. Yet even there, white still moves first, because at its core, chess needs a beginning. Someone must take the first step. White moving first is not about power. It is about responsibility. The responsibility to define the direction of the game, to take initiative, to accept risk. And black's role is just as important. Black tests white's ideas. Black challenges assumptions. Black proves whether the first move was truly meaningful or simply wasted. This delicate balance is why chess has survived for over 1,500 years. Not because it is perfectly fair in every single move, but because it remains fair over time. So when you sit down at a chessboard and push that first white pawn forward, remember this. You are not receiving an advantage for free. You are being given a question, and the game will spend the next several hours asking whether your answer was worthy of that first move. When beginners learn chess, they're almost always taught to play white first. This quietly shapes how they understand the game from the very beginning. White is associated with action, with initiative, with the idea that progress comes from moving forward. Black, meanwhile, teaches patience, the ability to wait, to absorb pressure, to respond at the right moment rather than the first. In this way, the rule of white moving first goes beyond chess. It reflects how humans think about leadership, conflict, and decision-making. Someone must act. Someone must respond. History has shown us that moving first does not guarantee success, but hesitation guarantees nothing. Chess captures this truth in its simplest form. One move, two sides, endless possibilities. And that is why, after centuries of debate, rulebooks, statistics, and grandmaster games, the first move still belongs to white. Not because white is stronger, but because every story needs a beginning. And in chess, that beginning is a single step forward. What should we discuss about chess next? Comment below. Thank you for watching.